Saudi Arabia has spoken. The world has listened. Now it's time to understand what really happened behind closed doors. Prince Al-Walid bin Khalid bin Talal Al Saud, widely known as the Sleeping Prince, has died at just 36 years old. After spending nearly 2 decades in a coma, public statements say nothing more than an unwavering vigil and dignified conditions. But beneath those words lies a story of devastating trauma, unyielding faith, and medical boundaries pushed to their limits. 2005, a young prince, age 15, studying at a London military academy, promising future, royal bloodline. One night, a car crash changed everything. Reports confirm severe head trauma, multiple hemorrhages, internal injuries, breathing complications, flight back home, immediate placement in intensive care at Riyadh's King Abdulaziz Medical City. Doctors delivered grave news: irreversible brain damage. He had entered a prolonged unconscious state. Yet his father, Prince Khalid bin Talal Al Saud, refused to accept the verdict. Medicine offered a prognosis, life support for essential bodily functions, but no potential for consciousness. Prince Khalid saw something else, a vessel of hope, and so began a vigil that would stretch nearly 20 years. Over the following months, brief flickers of movement, a finger twitch, a faint eye shift were celebrated by the royal family and circulated online. Media briefly labeled him the Sleeping Prince. Videos posted on state-affiliated platforms showed him lying in medical beds, surrounded by advanced machinery connected to ventilators and monitors. Medical opinion, however, was starkly different. Neurologists warned the public relentlessly. These movements were likely reflex, no indication of awakening. The distinction: involuntary response versus intentional consciousness. Despite that, hope was sustained through Ramadan gatherings, Eid prayers, televised visits, and dental pilgrimages to holy cities, all portrayed as possible milestones. Meanwhile, the cost of care ballooned. Sources estimate over $30 million annually, not just for ICU-level medical care, but for specialist consultations, cutting-edge monitoring equipment, neurorehabilitation trials, infection prevention, international medical second opinions, and constant on-site staffing. Over 2 decades, prominent medical teams from Spain to the United States reviewed his case. Their joint conclusion remained consistent: persistent vegetative state, no sign of purposeful brain activity, negligible chance of recovery. Still, Prince Khalid persisted, citing religious conviction. He publicly said, "If God wills him awake, it will happen, not before." A broader cultural tapestry was emerging. The Sleeping Prince became a symbol. In sermons across the Gulf, imams referenced his case as a demonstration of unwavering parental love. Religious platforms streamed du'as for his recovery. Schools taught young children that persistent prayer could overcome insurmountable odds. Yet medical ethicists quietly warned, prolonging life in this state may impose more suffering than release. Not on the patient who is unconscious, but on his family, on national health budgets, and on the dignity of living the ending. Between 2015 and 2019, viral moments resurfaced, such as a video capturing what seems like Al-Walid's hand lifting slightly during a ripple of conversation. Another moment, purportedly during Ramadan 2018, showed his head tilting after prayer. Each time, the internet buzzed with hope. But medical critics said these were misleading. No EEG, CT scan, or functional imaging supported brain recovery. Still, the family celebrated each small motion. Social media users traded theory and speculation. Supporters called him miracle not verified. Detractors warned of misinformation and fetishizing the unconscious. Meanwhile, out of public view, the foundation work started. Confidential legal filings indicated Prince Khalid was seeking extended broadcast rights over prior medical footage, apparently to help fund future care. There were discussions of turning Al-Walid's story into a documentary or faith-based media project, sparking questions: was this still care for the prince or curation of his story? In 2022, a major health scare, sepsis triggered by respiratory infection, complications froze care progress. For days, monitors flatlined. Recovery was tense. It raised urgent questions. Could medical technology fail before the resolve faltered? In early July 2025, another crisis arose. The prince developed multi-organ complications. ICU teams struggled. News leaked internally. Some foreign specialists were flown in again. But then, quietly and without drama, his heart failed. The announcement came July 19, 2025. He passed away after complications stemming from his condition. No mention of the crash, no autopsy release, no mention of withdrawal of care, only his father's presence and dignity preserved. Funeral prayers held July 20 at Imam Turki bin Abdullah Grand Mosque, attended by hundreds of royal figures. Respectful silences, no images of the coffin released, no final goodbye message. So what really happened? Catastrophic head injury as a teenager caused irreversible brain trauma. Body was supported for nearly 2 decades, sustained by machines and medical care. Consciousness never returned. Father maintained hope through faith and cultural norms. In July 2025, life support failed. Biological systems stopped. No subtle controversy. No sabotage, but an unfolding tragedy of medical inevitability and emotional endurance. Public reaction was profound. Hashtags like Shrine Sleeping Prince and Walid Awake trended globally. Condolences poured in from the UAE, Pakistan, and beyond. Social media erupted not with shock but with heartbreak. A collective ache at watching someone remain alive but unreachable for years. International journalists asked, was this correct medical care or a misplaced hope? Ethicists debated, at what point does faith give way to release? Religious voices praised the family's conviction. Secular voices questioned the human cost. Some analysts consider Al-Walid's story a cautionary tale. Medical technology can extend life beyond what medicine considers recovery. But is that extension life or endurance? Faith and tradition, especially in deeply religious societies, often outrank medical rationalism. Royal duty in this case created both a symbol of hope and a consequence of prolonged non-life. Critics emphasize that transparency was lacking. No published scans, no public audits, no accessible explanation. Many in the global medical community were left speculating. Yet, resignation flickers among insiders. Some in the Royal Medical Corps told independent journalists off-record they documented no change in neural activity since at least every year they hoped. Every year no improvement. One senior care nurse shared, the body was alive, but there was no soul. Another official asked why care continued, replied quietly, he was their son, what remains now? A name that dominated headlines, outliving his consciousness, but leaving a mark as global symbol. Questions about final projects. The weight of Theo-style documentary never emerged. What about Walid's unread writings, phone messages, digital drafts? Will they ever be shared? And the ethical ripple. How should nations support prolonged life in clinically futile situations, especially when state resources are involved? The Saudi Arabian press has been respectful, conservative, offering closed tributes that praise fatherly devotion and endurance. Family spokespeople promised to honor his memory with silence and humility. No immediate follow-up announced. International coverage shifted quickly from tragedy to analysis. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, and academic op-eds unpacked the emotional cost of such long-term care. One London columnist wrote, "We gave him life beyond life, but we never granted him living." A medical ethics professor argued, miraculous endurance can become cruel prolongation. And even now, hundreds of Saudis post photos of prayer cards, mosques lit up in memory. For them, Al-Walid's journey was divine, and his passing a release granted by God. Still, for the international public, and for those who only knew the sleeping prince, an unsettling realization lingers, he was never truly alive in the way we understand life. He lay for 20 years a body kept by silence, care, and devotion. Now he has passed without ever waking. In closing, this is the story of a young life interrupted, of medical miracles colliding against biological limits, of a father's conviction that truth, while painful, belongs to both faith and medical reality. Prince Al-Walid was not murdered. He did not wake up. He did not defy science. He simply died. After years of hope, years of sight without sensing, years of living without living. May his rest be real, and may our understanding of care, grief, and legacy grow from his silence. Thank you for listening or watching his story. May we remember not just his endurance, but the humanity behind it, and learn how fragile, sacred, and finite life truly is.